In a lot of projects that happen in Saudi Arabia, it can be done. This is very ambitious. They can keep saying that, and we can keep proving them wrong.
At the dawn of the 2020s, when the world seemed overwhelmed by climate crises, urban sprawl, and technological disillusionment, Saudi Arabia stunned the global imagination with a plan so daring it seemed to belong to another century altogether. The Line, a 170-kilometer-long, mirror-clad city in the desert, rising half a kilometer into the sky and stretching in a perfectly straight corridor across rugged mountains and burning sands. Not wide like the sprawling cities we know, but impossibly narrow, barely 200 meters, yet promising to house up to 9 million people in vertical harmony, free from roads, cars, and air pollution. It was a project not just to build a city, but to reinvent what it means to live on Earth in the age of AI, climate urgency, and digital life. And from the moment Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman revealed it under the vast $500 billion NEOM project in early 2021, it gripped the world's collective attention. Part sci-fi fantasy, part audacious experiment, part geopolitical signal that even an oil-rich kingdom could pivot toward a cleaner, high-tech future. Critics called it a mirrored utopia. Skeptics labeled it an impossible vanity project in a land of dust and searing heat. But the bulldozers began moving, steel foundations were driven into the desert, and what seemed a digital render slowly materialized under the desert sun. Yet what makes the Line so radical isn't just the mirrored walls or breathtaking scale, but the philosophy it encodes, a rejection of the sprawling, chaotic, car-clogged urban model that has defined cities since the age of highways. Instead of horizontal bloat, the Line offers vertical efficiency, entire layers of living, working, and leisure stacked above one another so that every resident can reach daily essentials, schools, clinics, markets, parks, within a 5-minute walk. Underneath, an ultra-fast train whisks people from one end to the other in barely 20 minutes, eliminating the need for personal cars entirely. Above ground, the mirrored facade reflects the dunes and mountains, allowing nature to reclaim space right up to the city's edge, as if the megastructure had been delicately placed rather than imposed. And at night, inside its vertical canyons, our managed systems dim the lights, cool the air, and adjust energy flows, breathing with the rhythms of millions of lives. Residents might step from their apartments directly into hanging gardens hundreds of meters in the sky, walk along elevated green promenades where there are no honking horns or fumes, and ride elevators that know where they're headed before they press a button. It is, in vision at least, the first human habitat conceived from scratch for a fully digital age, hyperconnected yet human-scaled, zero-emission yet densely populated, dense yet open to nature. The logic is deceptively simple. By compressing a city into a single, efficient corridor, Saudi planners argue they can reduce land use by 95%, cut infrastructure costs, slash energy waste, and restore vast expanses of desert and mountains that would otherwise be paved over. Instead of building roads, hospitals, schools, and power grids across hundreds of square kilometers, everything is concentrated within the mirrored spine, linked by data, automation, and renewable energy. The outside world sees a shimmering band that reflects sun and sky. Inside, residents experience a layered metropolis humming quietly under AI guidance. Traffic, one of modern life's great miseries, disappears, so does the daily hunt for parking. Even weather becomes part of the design. Smart facades shade the interiors during blistering afternoons, vertical gardens cool the air, and predictive systems balance power loads across the entire length of the city. But as construction pushes ahead, the global debate deepens. Urbanists wonder, can a city this linear ever feel like a real, breathing community, or will it become a corridor of alienation? Social scientists ask whether packing millions into a single vertical strip could breed psychological strain, especially in a culture so historically attached to open space. Environmentalists warn about the carbon footprint of building such an immense mirrored wall in the middle of a fragile ecosystem. And the question that shadows every conversation, can Saudi Arabia, a nation whose modern wealth is built on oil, really pivot to clean, digital urbanism? Or is the Line destined to become a cautionary monument to overreach? Yet even skeptics can't deny that the line has already altered the conversation about what cities could be. While most megacities expand outward endlessly, swallowing forests and farmland, the line compresses urban life inward and upward, promising to give space back to nature rather than consume it. And as cranes rise and materials arrive from ports, the dream inches toward reality. Workers in hard hats walk beneath colossal steel beams. Surveyors scan rocky valleys where stations and support structures will soon stand. On digital dashboards, engineers adjust the delicate balance between load, wind, and solar arrays. What once felt like a PowerPoint fantasy now shows up in satellite photos as real construction lines etched into sand. Imagine daily life here. You wake up to sunrise filtering through electrochromic glass that tints automatically against the desert glare. Your AI assistant reviews your day while the building quietly adjusts temperature and humidity. Instead of driving in morning gridlock, you step into a local vertical lift, walk 5 minutes to your workplace pod, or descend to a transit spine that accelerates silently under your feet. There are no traffic lights, no car alarms, no exhaust. Instead, there's the soft hum of air-conditioned walkways, the scent of vertical gardens, and the shared rhythms of millions moving smoothly through data-tuned infrastructure. On weekends, instead of battling traffic to reach parks outside the city, you descend a few levels to shaded sports courts, sky farms, or hanging forests, all integrated within the structure. And the promise is even bigger. The line isn't meant to be just a luxury address for the wealthy. Its backers envision entire ecosystems of business incubators, research labs, and creative hubs, attracting scientists, artists, and entrepreneurs to live and build in a place designed for human creativity rather than car traffic. They speak of managed water recycling, vertical farming to reduce food miles, and energy systems fed entirely by wind and sun. The line is the literal backbone of NEOM, itself envisioned as a 26,500 square kilometer zone of tech innovation, green energy, and sustainable industry, an experiment on a scale no other nation has dared attempt. Yet the ambition carries real risks. Costs could spiral, the technology might fail, residents might reject vertical life, cultural traditions may clash with digital surveillance and hyperdensity. And in a world facing rising seas, extreme heat, and resource scarcity, critics ask if humanity's hope should rest on building shiny megastructures rather than fixing the chaotic cities we already have. But even if the line stumbles or scales back, its boldness has already forced city planners, investors, and citizens everywhere to ask, why do we still build cities around cars, traffic, and endless asphalt? In the end, the line stands as a glittering paradox, at once a mirror to the desert and a mirror to humanity's urban imagination. It reflects both a kingdom's desire to reinvent itself beyond oil, and our shared hope that design and technology might finally overcome pollution, sprawl, and gridlock. Whether it becomes a living blueprint for future cities, or a cautionary monument shimmering in the desert heat, will be written not in announcements or renders, but in steel, glass, and the daily lives of those who choose to call it home. And for now, the world watches, caught between skepticism and awe, as the first real chapters of this audacious story are etched into the sands of northwest Saudi Arabia. Imagine stepping into a world where the daily grind of city life, honking horns, stop-and-go traffic, flashing billboards, smog hanging over streets, simply doesn't exist. Inside the line, there are no cars to create road rage, no endless stoplights, no exhaust fumes staining the morning sky. Instead, residents wake each day in bright, modular apartments designed not as static boxes, but as living spaces that transform alongside them. Voice controls gently command the room to shift from soft morning light to cooler midday settings. Closets glide open automatically. Kitchen surfaces heat or chill as needed, or without the press of a single button. If your lifestyle changes, say, adding a child or starting remote work, the space subtly reconfigures itself, partition walls sliding, storage morphing, and lighting recalibrating to your rhythm. Yet what truly sets the line apart is its stunning mirrored facade, a skin that doesn't just shimmer for beauty's sake, but actively reflects the desert's fierce sunlight, lowering interior temperatures and making the structure seem almost to vanish into the horizon. From a distance, the city flickers and disappears against the sand and mountains, an illusion crafted to minimize disruption to migrating birds and native wildlife. Inside, sunlight filters gently through diffused layers, sparing residents the need for harsh artificial lights or blinds, and keeping the city cool even during peak summer heat without straining power grids. Above and below, nature isn't an afterthought, it's everywhere. Sky gardens, vertical forests, and hanging parks layer themselves around walkways and apartments. Waterfalls cascade through communal plazas. Birds nest on ledges high above the desert floor. Trails twist around mid-air terraces, so you can jog hundreds of meters above ground, breathing filtered air instead of car exhaust. Because everything stacks upward rather than spreading outward, the city takes up far less land than traditional sprawl, yet feels lush and expansive thanks to vertical greenery. Meanwhile, the mess of urban life vanishes underground. Waste chutes silently whisk garbage away to recycling centers, drones deliver packages behind the walls, and robotic systems restock stores and homes, keeping the surface levels clean, calm, and open for walking, play, and quiet conversation. Even safety itself is redesigned. No police cars patrol in circles, but a web of sensors, cameras, and discreet drones watches over the city, instantly detecting unusual movement, dispatching help, or preventing crime before it begins. Emergencies, from fires to health alerts, are answered not by a slow phone call but by AI systems that coordinate drones, medics, and automated doors to guide responders within seconds. What emerges is a daily life fundamentally different from anything cities have offered before. No bumper-to-bumper commutes that steal hours from your life. No smog that dulls the horizon. No random noise of revving engines. Instead, the city feels quiet, vertical, and almost living. Data flows through its walls, adjusting light, temperature, and air purity in real time. You can walk from your apartment to a local park, a school, a clinic, or a market in under 5 minutes, making daily needs closer than ever imagined. A high-speed underground train glides the entire 170 kilometers length in barely 20 minutes, eliminating long crosstown journeys. And as you move, you don't feel cramped. Instead, you see sky bridges strung with flowers, terrace cafes perched hundreds of meters up, and waterfalls shimmering beside glass elevators. All while, just beyond the mirrored skin, the desert stretches out in silence. Yet beneath the marvel and promise, deeper questions rise. If AI and automation handle trash, traffic, climate, and even security, what do people do? If nature is curated into vertical gardens and reflected sunlight, does it still feel real, or become an engineered backdrop? Will the seamlessness of this life bring comfort, or make residents feel watched, enclosed, and dependent on systems they barely control? And if technology anticipates every need, do spontaneity and surprise disappear from daily life? As Saudi Arabia pushes forward, these questions remain. But what is certain is that building the line isn't just pouring concrete or stacking steel. It's about reshaping the very bones of what a city is, a living, breathing organism that merges technology, nature, and humanity in ways never before tried. To make this real, construction began in early 2022, transforming the dream from a sleek render to a massive engineering project visible from space. Bulldozers cut through tough desert rock and even sliced into mountains to anchor foundations deep enough to carry towers 500 meters high, all lined up in a ruler-straight formation stretching farther than the eye can see. Over 135 million tons of steel and glass are planned, each module prefabricated to slot together like colossal puzzle pieces. These modules aren't empty shells. They arrive wired with AI systems, ventilation, vertical farms, even underground service corridors. Cranes lift them into place, workers bolt and weld, and slowly, the desert floor becomes a rising ribbon of mirrored glass. And those mirrors do more than shimmer. They scatter the desert sun to keep interiors cooler, saving vast amounts of energy. They also camouflage the city, softening its presence so wildlife migrates unharmed. Underground, tunnels channel waste, water, deliveries, and power, hidden from human sight to preserve the serenity above. Every detail, from A-flow to light, is designed not by guesswork but by endless simulation and data, so the city reacts almost like a living organism. As the mirrored spine stretches farther each month, the world watches, some amazed, some skeptical, all curious. Could this really be the blueprint for tomorrow's cities? Or will it prove too costly, too complex, or too controlled to win people's hearts? Saudi Arabia's answer is still unfolding, module by module, crane by crane. Yet even unfinished, the line has already rewritten the conversation about urban life. Because whether it soars or stalls, it dares to ask, what if a city could be built not for cars, but for people, and for the planet itself? And that single question may change far more than the skyline of a desert. It might change the shape of the future itself.